We are live. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
And I can hear you, which means technology is our friend today. So, hello, everyone. We have a special guest, and no, it's not Anthony. It is Crystal Catalina. I'm so excited uh, to be working with you again today. We are in Sedona, and
Yeah.
I'm just helping and holding space for my good friend Crystal at her retreat. So, Crystal, for those of the people out there that don't know who you are or why I would be so crazy to pull you into this live today, tell them who you are and what you do.
Yeah, my name is Crystal Catalina, also known as the Alignologist, and I help individuals become realigned with their true selves so they can manifest their soul aligned dream bodies.
Which is so fun. And you and I met at another event and we just felt aligned with each other as
Yes.
well. So forgive the outfits. We just went on this beautiful, amazing in a hike in the Red Rocks of Sedona.
You can see it in the window.
Yes, you can. The internet out here is a little squirrely, so I am
Uh-huh.
indoors trying to make sure that that works. So, our clients, of course, typically are all women as well, and they are typically struggling with feeling balanced and aligned and healthy, and they're struggling with just finding their healthiest selves and getting on that journey. So, you and I have done a couple of events together. We've done some online programs together, but one of the biggest things that you help women solve typically is when they get stuck with weight loss or they're holding on to excess weight that they don't know how to shed. So, what are some of the things that you typically find that women are doing that is not helping that plight?
Oh,
I know I thought I'd start you.
comparing, comparing, shaming themselves.
Yeah.
Um, just, gosh. I mean, really, it so much starts in the mind. And even before the mind, we are all energy. Like the at the bare bones of everything. We're energy. And so we really have to think about how we are cultivating our energy so that it's like a petri dish of the best things. Like think about gardening and like having the best soil and like talking to the plants and tending to the plants. It's like all of that. It's all energetic. And so, it's how we speak to ourselves. It's what we're consuming. It's all things that we're consuming, not just food. What are we listening to? What are we allowing to be around us? What what are we absorbing in all realms? That's what
Yep.
it's really about.
Yeah, it's all things. So, there's when we have issues with something, whether it's food or alcohol or consuming way too much TV or we get sucked into social media, doom scrolling, all of it, it's a message, right? That there is
Yeah.
something we're trying to avoid or numb or sidestep that's coming from a deeper source. And you're right, we're all energy. So, what energy are you bringing to yourself? What vibration are you around all the time? The people that you speak with and hang out with, which is why I like to hang out with people like Crystal, because it changes my vibration. It changes the energy in which you vibe, right? So,
Totally. I'm doing my best here in Sedona. Like I'm putting on my first ever retreat and I'm like, do not become bridezilla. Like,
but that's also, I mean, Sedona, I mean, we're here, but we've been here before. In fact, you and I were at another event together in Sedona a couple of months ago. There is a different energy here, and
yeah,
there's a different
totally.
vibe. And you can literally feel it when you go hiking, and there's spaces where you don't get internet for a reason because it does mess up kind of the flow of things. So, I know when we work with women, there's two very distinctly specific things that we look at. Literally, how much water are you drinking and where's that water coming from? Because that vibe is really important. But also, again, what are you literally surrounding yourself with, and mentally, emotionally, and physically?
Yeah,
So,
and that's not a shaming question either. It's just how can we start to how can we start to baby step it into getting a little bit better and better? It's not about, well, look at all the things you're surrounding yourself with. It's like, no, like what seems like the lowest hanging fruit that we might be willing to go ahead and get out of our lives, get out of our surroundings, and then get really consistent with that one shift. Excuse me, I got like a bug flew into my eye.
As they will here.
um but yeah, what's one thing that we can positively shift and get really consistent with that new shift, because with every change and every shift a new resistance rises that we need to um work on soothing,
Mm.
and until we become consistent with that one shift. It's like so often we try to shift so many things at once, and that's when it feels really overwhelming. Every single shift feels like a threat to the brain. And so we just want to be gentle with ourselves and in making those small incremental shifts and getting consistent in those, and then taking another. There's no reason to try and eat the whole elephant at once. We don't want to try to make all the shifts at once.
Nope. I'm
No.
in the middle of a neuropsychotherapy class right now, and light reading. And I know you come from a therapy background too. And when you said the word soothe, there's a lot in this class just discussing soothing and just what happens to the brain as 0 to 7 years old. Our biggest focus is what keeps us safe and how do we soothe the fear. And
Yeah.
some of us learn not real great ways to help self-soothe that ends up getting us into more of the addictive personalities or the using food to try to make ourselves feel better, or whatever thing we're using, whether it's work or food or whatever we're using. So, and I know you spend a lot of time around that too, because it's coming from a place of hard wiring of what makes us feel good and safe and soothed.
Yes.
And there's parts of the brain that
Yes.
don't develop properly if we are not soothed properly as babies, and we have to learn how to do that as adults. It's a little bit harder.
Yes. Yes. So what I love sharing with my clients and working on with them with is creating like what we call a wellness toolbox of basically soothing and nurturing tools. And not all of them are going to work all of the time, and so that's why it's so important to have that toolbox. And some in the toolbox are active tools, and others in the toolbox are not active, just kind of like chilling tools, so it's like for me, I love roller skating, and sometimes that'll really help get me out of a funk. But there's other times where, there's no way I can get out and be around a whole lot of other people and be active in that way, where, a lovely bath with some tea will do better. Or even I have a hard time with that. And then I'm grabbing my weighted blanket to
Mm-hmm.
soothe, so there's like levels within this wellness toolbox. And as you learn yourself more and more, we really start working on, you know, naming emotions, learning to name emotions. Because so often we're just like, this feels good or this feels bad,
Yeah.
and so once we can start really naming what we're experiencing and rating it on a scale of 1 to 10, then we can start kind of learning and tracking patterns around, well, which soothing technique, which wellness toolbox works when I'm at a 10, I need this. When I'm at a 5, I need this.
Yeah, and I think you hit a major piece right there is a lot of people don't have the language, they don't have the words, they don't have the way to describe how they're feeling because they've only categorized good, I don't like this, or I like this. And there's really no in between. And we get stuck
Yes.
in these patterns from really early on. So 4-year-olds don't have the language. And you're like, well, yeah, but I'm 40 or I'm 50 or I'm 60 now. I should. Well, yeah, but not when you're resonating with the 4-year-old trauma self.
Absolutely. And we just never learned. Like most of us did not have models, like really quality models. That's okay.
Yeah.
But
Doesn't mean
it's
you
our
can't.
responsibility to learn now.
Yes, it's not your fault
Yeah.
that it happened the way it did. It's your responsibility to learn the tools. And we even use this giant wheel of emotional words
Love
that
that.
I learned how to
We
get
use
to.
that too.
Yeah, and it's so easy to use, but it's amazing how, even when you're a full-blown adult, that you can't come up with the words, but you're like, "Oh, yeah, that describes how I am," or "That explains where I am." On a scale from 1 to 10, even more important, how deep in this am I? And where does that core piece come from? And how am I trying to solve it with food or alcohol or with some other trauma healing that we thought was going to heal us, but wasn't.
Yeah.
Um, so let's talk about, the topic itself and your whole real big focus is that manifestation of the dream body. What are some of the things that you see are pitfalls that women fall into, especially women fall into
Mhm.
just because that's the way we were told we had to do it? What do you see as the pitfalls that women fall into because that's what society tells us? And then what are a couple
Yeah.
of things to get out of that?
Some of the pitfalls that I see are believing that it's not working
Mm,
just because it's not working fast enough or on the
yeah,
timeline that we would like, or feeling like we've hit a plateau, which kind of falls into that same category because even when and if we're in a seemingly plateau, what we're perceiving as a plateau, it doesn't mean that things aren't still happening and progress isn't being made. But
right.
it's just like I see a lot of um, validation coming from the number on the scale instead of validation in how we're following through for ourselves each day.
Yes. Creating those new patterns.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. Great measure.
Yeah. And so the way that I really encourage getting away from that mindset around validation of the scale is finding a way to track what you're doing for yourself each day and get validation from that. So like, in my program we've created a point system where we're shooting for points each day, and if we get all of our points each day, then we get a star day. And we don't expect to get stars every day, but it's really fun when we get one and we celebrate that. And even when we don't get a star, we're still celebrating every single point that we got. And then every month we can look back and be like, okay, like how many points did I get last month? And how many star days did I get? Man, I did amazing. Look at all those days. Look at all those things. Look at all those ways that I showed up for myself last month. And we celebrate that.
Yeah.
And
And
then
how
we look
badly we
forward.
underestimated how far we got.
Yeah, yeah. And we can track patterns that way too.
Yes.
And see, okay, like what might I want to shoot for next month? Maybe I want to shoot for a couple more star days next month. And it kind of makes it fun. Like we all have a little bit of like healthy competitiveness in us, but we're competing with ourselves instead of what we're seeing on social media or so and so who's also in the program. We're just competing with ourselves.
And then here's the piece, which I know you and I talk a lot about, and we actually leverage each other for the same thing, is the support of other women and how that can feel unsafe for a lot of
Mm,
us because we didn't have the support of other women. There's a reason that Mean Girls is a movie that a lot of women resonate with. But the
yes.
idea of how much more powerful women can be when they feel they have the support of women, they feel heard and understood, and they have a community of women they feel they can be truly authentic to who they are and not
Yeah.
have to hide behind that.
Yeah, for sure. For me, I had a lot of accountability buddies in my journey, and I still do. They're just in like a different capacity. They're more in business now than in weight loss.
Right.
But yes. But for me, I would always seek out other individuals that I wanted to learn from and that I wanted to model by. Because I wanted that influence around me of like continually stretching.
Yes.
And so, often I found that I would kind of outgrow my accountability buddies, and that's okay. Like, just because someone has been with you for a really long time supporting you, and it doesn't mean you have to like completely cut them off either, but it's important to keep reaching and finding the support that that resonates for you in your season of growth.
And finding people who have been there, done that the way you want to do it, who are further ahead,
Yes.
and not sticking to the people who may just be at the same level or maybe the level because it feels comfortable, right? And I
Yeah.
get it, because it feels nice to be the big fish in the little pond. But when you can start reaching ahead and not being the biggest fish in the room, and you start to learn at a whole nother level, and you learn how to get there
Absolutely.
faster, frankly, because you get five
That.
people in a room, yes, faster, with less expense, with less effort, with less. But you get five people in a room, and five of them have done what you wanted to do, and you haven't done it yet. The chances of you doing it are higher. But you get five people in a room, and none of them have done what you wanted to do. Chances of getting there way lower, right? So
Absolutely.
that's important. The community is important, and who you spend your time with. Again, back to where's the energy.
Yes. Yes.
Mhm. So, Crystal, if people were looking for you and they wanted to see more of what it is that you do, what would you tell them?
Yeah, I would tell them to go to my Instagram. Hopefully, you have an Instagram. And my handle is really easy. It's my name, Crystal, Crystal, underscore my last name, which is Catalina, Catalina, and another underscore. And there on that Instagram at the top in the bio, there is a link where you can catch all of my things. Like there's a link tree. So you'll be able to find
There you
me
go.
there.
So, Crystal Catalina, that is her handle right there. So, you see a Crystal
Mhm.
underscore Catalina underscore. And again, I love hanging out with women like this. I love hanging out with powerhouses who also know how to soothe in a balanced way, and they give themselves grace. It doesn't have to be all push, push, push energy. There's a being energy, which is more feminine. There's a doing energy, which is more masculine. It's that balance between. And then, Crystal, I think you do an amazing job of finding that balance in between the two, which sometimes is hard to find with people anymore on either side of that, which is brilliant. So go see Crystal on her Instagram. You can always go to nourish123.com/heal if you want to book a call with us. Or you can simply just go and do our newest quiz on resilience at nourish123.com as well. So, Crystal, any last few moments or one last thing to tie it up for people to really know when you're manifesting your dream body or whatever it
Yeah.
is your goals really are in health as and in general, what would you tell them?
Yeah, I would just say know that this is a world of infinite possibilities, and you are not the exception in the fact that you can manifest whatever it is you desire. And usually there's that one thing where you're like, man, I've done really great at manifesting this. Like I've got the job, I've got the partner, I've got whatever, but like, man, why can't I get this weight off? Maybe I'm just meant to be this way. And I'm here to tell you, I thought that for a really long time. And no, that is not true. If it's been implanted in you to desire something, you are, excuse me, you are here to discover how to create that with for yourself with the universe. You're here to co-create with the universe to manifest all it is that you desire. This is possible for you.
Mhm.
It is possible.
You just may need
Yeah.
a reflection from someone else outside of you to help you find that tool or where the block needs to be removed. That doing it on your own sometimes is not the journey. It's not the way. We're not meant to isolate and be on our own. In fact, we're hardwired not to be alone. We're
Right.
hardwired to be in groups and to be in with our tribes and the people who will help us get to the next level. So if you've been trying to do it on your own and you haven't been able to get there, there's other options.
Yes. Yes, indeed.
Well, thank you, lady, for being on my live with me this morning. I'm excited to continue supporting you through your this is your first big retreat, yeah?
It is. It's the 5 days. It's called the Infinitely Aligned Retreat. And we've got 11 women coming in to be transformed.
I'm excited to see this for you. So, okay, again, thank you. You're coming back. I'm not asking you. I'm just telling you. You're coming back into, into another
Right.
live at some point, but I can't wait to see all these women and how much power they're going to have as they come through these 5 days because they will be forever changed. These retreats always do things like that. So thank you for being you and thank you for being my friend and all the support coming from your side to me too.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Such a
Thanks.
blessing and honor to be here.
Woohoo! All right, let's start cooking.
All right.